I need to show you something incredibly cringe, but first, I need to show you fan art. Now, obviously, there could be a difference between these in some way, shape, or form, but realistically, we're going to talk about Trump's cringe here in a second. But before we do that, we got to talk about this fan art. This one is from Pernia, and it features Suris, which, you know, I just said some weirdly sus things about this character a little while ago, so ignore me and everything I stand for. It turns out I'm actually a fairly corrupt individual. That said, thank you very much for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, please drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, I want to show you something absolutely fucking stupid and a little bit crazy. And no, don't do that. I was crazy once. I don't care about your rubber room. I don't care about your rats. I care instead about showing you this weird shit right here. This came courtesy of Dorito, and I may or may not hate that man more and more every day, every time he sends me something, because every single time it gets more and more cursed the longer that I know him, and it doesn't improve. It never gets better. There's never a point in time where anything has improved in regards to this particular friendship. Dan says, oh fuck, I saw this They Walk Among Us stuff. I almost puked. Yep. Is it Among Us, goddammit? Yep. Okay, so first of all, can we get the cringe out of the way? They walk among us. For 60 years, the U.S. government has kept a closely guarded secret. Aliens have been walking among us, living in our neighborhoods, and interacting with us in our daily lives. What the fuck are they talking about, guys? What the fuck is going on? Oh, I know exactly what this is, though. And if you've been following the random bullshit from the United States government, then you know for a fact exactly where this is going to be going. Because this is unfortunately not about aliens or Naruto running your way through Area 52. No. This is actually about brown people. Brown people, everybody! Isn't that so cool? They've shopped in the same stores, attended the same classes as our children, and lived seemingly normal human existences. With one exception, they do not belong here. Millions arrived under the cover of darkness and embedded themselves directly into our society. Can I just say right now, this really reads like fucking Nazi shit. Like, completely and totally, this just reads like dumb fucking Nazi shit. And I don't want to just keep on using that word because I know that there's somebody that's going to take umbrage with that and be like, you call everything you don't like a Nazi. But no, really, this reads like Nazi shit. That's what this is. It's from whitehouse.gov. This is from the White House saying that children do not belong here. Just, what am I supposed to take from that? What am I supposed to take from that? Countless presidents, congressmen, and senior officials knew exactly what was happening. Instead of protecting American citizens, they chose to cover it up and even accelerate the invasion. The invasion of fucking children that happened to live in our borders. Children. Kids. They're worried about brown kids. They want to make brown kids your enemy. That's what they want. They want you to look outside, see a Mexican, and get scared. And not just of the father. No, of the children. They want you to be scared of the children. From now on, we will not accept links from Dorito. Look, this is from the president. This is from the president of the United States. Why? Countless presidents, congressmen, senior officials. Instead of protecting American citizens, they chose to cover up and accelerate the invasion. Until one man finally had the courage to tell the truth. Bold, apologetic, unafraid, orange. President Trump was the first to call out the real danger aliens pose to every American family, every community, and the future of our nation. Guys, I need you to do me a huge favor real quick while we're here. Whenever I hear the future of our nation, I think of a very specific phrase. Does anybody here, let me know in the comment section, let me know in the chat, wherever you happen to be, Do you know what the 14 words are? Because if you don't know what the 14 words are, this sounds a whole lot like the fucking 14 words. The 14 words are, and I quote, "We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children." The 14 words were coined by David Lane, a guy who actively wanted to accelerate Nazism after fucking Germany fell. Laugh off is me, I am alien, I observe human. Your guys is fucking what? Yeah, no. So when you've got something that says, hey, we're going to get the brown people out of the nation, and then we're going to secure the future of our nation, it just sounds like the fucking 14 words to me. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. That's what it sounds like to me as a person who has been dealing with this shit for years, and maybe I am just too far stuck in the miasma, but I feel like that's just Nazi shit. And we should be unafraid to call it what it is. It's just Nazi shit. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in the old guy in American History X based on David Lane. I haven't seen American History X, but that doesn't sound outside the realm of possibility. So this is just, it is. The truth is no longer out there. It is right here, right now. Top secret. Scroll to continue. And then we've got an alien arrest map, which I cannot show you because the alien arrest map will just show you my fucking local area. But, it's just a live counter that is supposedly showing every illegal alien that has been taken out of the United States. Now, I say that, but Dorito happened to show me something very interesting, and it's the fact that apparently this is a resetting rolling clock. It doesn't actually count anything. It just has a big number. It just has a big number. That's it. So, but do you hear the music? Do you hear the people cry? Nana Goblin says, my noir, what are you talking about? I said, zoom out of the entire US. Fair. Let's do that real quick. Now, we can look at the entirety of the United States. It looks like it's supposed to be a heat map of all of the areas where we have found the people who are too brown to be in the United States, the illegal aliens. Now, I opened up that link in a tab, and it played music. It has music? I don't hear any music. Fuck that shit. Master Envy says a real counter like that would almost never move at a constant rate. Exactly. Midnight Rider in the YouTube chat says, all this because 90 million naive folks didn't want a lady president that laughs. I mean, it's also a bunch of lefties who desperately did not want Harris, because Harris did allude to the fact that she did want to take us into war with Iran herself, and also could not, for some fucking reason, come down hard enough on Israel as they were actively involved in doing a genocide to the people of Palestine. I feel like, and maybe it's just cope, but I feel like had she come down harder on like the proper side of things that people actually give a shit about in lefty spaces, if she had come down harder on being pro-union, if she had come down harder on being anti-genocide in Israel, if she had come down harder on those things, maybe we wouldn't have Trump. Jessa says, don't look up her name on Track APAC. She was never going to. So she's taking APAC money. That explains everything. So a thing that I think a lot of lefties, though, seem to not understand is that when we get people like Trump, the Overton window shifts to the right. And then we have to work really hard in the next administration to shift it not further to the left, but to shift it to where the fuck it was 12 minutes ago. We don't get to move the Overton window further and further. We end up having to wrench it back to the status quo. Midnight says, you'll have to pardon me, but I'm still incredibly bitter. I understand. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Midnight Rider. But I understand. Says, so still supporting fascist history, but less corruption? Maybe. Because, like, as it stands right now, we wouldn't have this fucking fervor about getting brown people kicked out of the United States and sending ICE to hunt them down. We wouldn't have this fervor if we didn't have Trump. This exists entirely because of Trump. Now, I know that there is a mindset of accelerationism in some areas of the left, and I do not understand that mindset because it feels like a mindset that is layered and littered with the bodies of your broken comrades. I've had arguments with friends of mine who have the accelerationist mindset, and every single time I have had to ask them the exact same question: exactly how many buckets of blood, how many bodies are you willing to sacrifice so that you can get us to whatever weird fucking revolution thing you think we're going to magically get to simply because we have a president that we don't like for a little while longer? And the answers are never satisfactory. Ever, ever, ever. At least when you have a Democrat president, the worst thing you have to deal with is complacency. You actively get to move the Overton window further to the left, get people more normalized into more progressive ideas, while you have the Democrat president, which allows for a more organic movement into more, like, decent lefty causes. But, as of right now, that's not really gonna happen at this moment. Because once Trump gets out of office, if we get a Democrat president, we are going to be spending the next 4 years wrestling the Overton window back to what it was during the fucking Obama presidency. And that Overton window was A-okay with our great brown president bombing children with drones. So it still wasn't that fucking great. Dorito says, if we get a Dem president, we get to deal with socialist, Marxist, liberal, gay, trans, communist, tanky, something or other. I'll take that, whatever the fuck that is. I don't care. It says, I'm getting really annoyed with my sister who's more extreme left than me, not seeing the utility in people like you, Vosh or Hassan. If somebody did not plan on going out and voting, and then they watched Vosh long enough that they went out and decided to vote, Vosh provides a non-zero amount of utility. Oh, by the way, when I went to help on the Jamal Bowman campaign, guess what I saw? Hundreds of people who came out to help canvass and help voters in New York get more informed, mostly because they wanted to come and see Vosh. Weird. That's such a strange thing to happen. It's almost like people should be ready to recognize that there's going to be good and bad that comes with their influencers. Weird. Said Vosh isn't real. H-Bomber told me so. I mean, that's because horses aren't real. H-Bomber guy told me horses aren't real, and I believe him. I believe him. I do. Crazy high prices and extra government flash games.
I would hate to have to live in the same world as horses. Weird, smug little pricks with their eyes and teeth. But I've done some research, and it turns out that horses don't exist! Yay!
World peace achieved. Said Hans Wormhat told me every animal isn't real. Yeah, and Wittgenstein told me that chairs aren't real, and fucking Plato told me that featherless bipeds aren't real. I don't know. Jessica Davis says, in that situation, I completely agree with Hassan. That's absolutely BS. Hold on. Where is... So they're not for everybody. I have problems with Vosh sometimes, but they do get people out there. Hassan is big enough that he's getting subpoenaed for going to Cuba. Yeah, like, here's the thing. Another thing when it comes to streamers, especially streamers that cause a lot of controversy, I don't think people realize that the right already has them. The right has their Lauren Southern and their Tim Pool. The right has fucking Andrew Wilson. The right has, I mean, technically they have Joe Rogan. He pretends he's not, but you and I both can watch his content and see exactly who he platforms more often than not. So you can be upset at the lefty content creator while there's an actual fascist guy in the White House trying to tell you that we need to deport more brown people and makes an interactive flash game so that you can go and hunt fucking illegal people in the United States. You can be upset at the lefty content creator in that case, but it's kind of fucking useless. actually, because the right wing already has their content creators. They already have people that get paid millions of dollars by Russia in order to destabilize us. And I'm not saying that because of my tinfoil hat. I'm saying that because that's what Lauren Chen had. She had millions of dollars coming in from Russia today and handed a bunch of that money to Tim Pool and other people in order to spread propaganda that would destabilize the United States. And that's something you can just fucking Google that right now. That is a known, proven thing. So you can be upset at the people we have at the top right now in terms of lefty influencers, and that's entirely okay. Even like the more liberal influencers, you can do that. A-okay. But the right already has those people in their bracket too, and they happen to have more of them. So you're just kind of doing them favors when you focus on the next cancelable offense for many of those people instead of focusing on the actual fucking rapist in the White House right now. I don't know. Maybe I just happen to think that the rapist that wants to get rid of all of the brown people that happen to be your neighbors and wants to get rid of all the protections for trans people, maybe that guy's a little more important to me in general. Because there's lefty content creators that I have major issues with, but I tend to not do a whole lot of content about them for a reason. Jessica says the child one and the legally liable adult one. Sean Helvin says, and the fact that he pushed for a pedophile to be in charge of Texas, and the fact that we've got freaking RFK in the White House as well, telling people that vaccines caused his fucking throat problem when there is no proof it did. Like, it's just, Dorito says we need another Sun Tzu talk. I agree, because part of that as well is knowing your enemy, and part of knowing your enemy is being able to mimic and replicate their strategies. And if we cannot mimic and replicate the strategies that the right has used to dominate media, like not legacy media, not Hollywood media, but the media that most people consume on a daily basis, then we lose. That's just how it works. We lose. I said this when I was talking about Third Space Arcade with a bunch of the creators that I wanted to start it with, and episodes are coming out, I swear. There's shit going on with the editor, because that's what happens with my life every time I have an editor. But, I mean, except for K-Fox. I haven't had problems with K-Fox. I don't know why. She's the exception. Anyway, the thing that I mentioned when I wanted to build Third Space Arcade is I don't need mine to succeed. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if my version of this thing succeeds. I just give a shit that more people will copy it later. Dorito says, no, I mean the counter knowing who is not your enemy. There's a lot of shit talking about people that are closer to ally than enemy in this very chat. Yeah, fair. Like, we celebrate when the right wing fractures. We celebrate when, Nick Fuentes starts going off on anti-Trump things, because we see it as a sign that there actually isn't as strong a coalition in the right wing as we have been fighting against. And yet, we don't notice when we're doing the exact same thing. The time to start digging into every left-wing content creator and ripping them apart, including myself, is probably likely going to be the time that we don't have a Republican, and we specifically don't have a fascist in office. But throw us all into the fucking flames if you want after we've won. I don't care. I can move on to a different job. I just don't want to have a country that is fucking up everything for my loved ones. That's what I want. You throw me onto the fucking meat grinder afterwards, who gives a shit? So long as we change it. Said, nah, it's going to be after we get court reform. The Biden admin should have expanded the courts, I swear to God. We have 15 court districts. Why do we have 9 judges? Dorita says, first they came for the communist bitch. Who is they? The fascists or the other leftists? Man, if there is one thing you can definitely tell about anybody who's leftist, we really hate leftists. Despite the fact that ostensibly our biggest enemy is capital, because we see, okay, so the deportation thing would likely not exist in a world that was not dictated by capital, because the white replacement theory is being propagated by people like Elon Musk, who are major holders of capital. So some of the most influential people in the country would not be pulling those strings if not for fucking capital. So, man, it sure seems like we have a common enemy. What a weird situation. It says, I don't understand why there's so much infighting. It's stupid because it destabilizes us. There's so much infighting because it's very easy to put a plant in a lefty group and then destabilize it. I have heard stories, like I think the DSA does wonderful work, but I've also heard stories from various DSA chapters about fragmenting and infighting happening in those groups, and I swear to God, it feels like some part of it's artificial. It feels like some part of it is a person infiltrating themselves and embedding themselves and then causing issues. Because it's really easy to get us to purity test each other. It's really easy to get us to do that, and it's very, very frustrating. And it's even easier in online communities, because in an online community, you can have one guy making a contrarian bot and sending it into a bunch of fucking Twitter circles. You just get the coding monkeys from the Superman movie, and it unironically works. I would rather, and this is going to be a fiction take, but how many of you have seen Dragon Ball Z? Because if you've seen Dragon Ball Z, it's fiction. It doesn't really apply to the real world. It doesn't. But hang with me for a minute. If you've seen Dragon Ball Z, I want you to ask yourself a question. Would the world exist at all if Goku had not teamed up with Piccolo, despite the fact that Piccolo had done a bunch of dumb fucking bad shit in the past? Because the answer may surprise you. The Earth wouldn't exist. It just wouldn't exist. It would be a desolate planet on sale for the Frieza Empire. That's what would happen. And again, I know that that's fiction, but we root our fictional stories very, very often in things that have happened in reality. Now, we don't have fucking super warriors in reality, but we do have global superpowers who tend to have to make alliances that sometimes are a little unscrupulous. Boy, howdy, we need to be able to do that on an individual level a little bit easier. Dan says, watched it 25 years ago as a kid, watching it after I finished Dragon Ball. Would you suggest Z proper or Kai? I'll always suggest Kai. I love the original Dragon Ball Z because I grew up with it, but holy fucking gobshit. That is a lot of episodes for very little plot. I would always recommend Kai. The translation is better, the animation is better because they clean up a lot of the bad cells, and the filler has been mostly cut out. If there's filler that you really, really want to see, like Goku and Piccolo learning how to drive, or Goku and Gohan having their father-son bonding moments in the time chamber, you can just go watch those on YouTube when it's appropriate, but otherwise, I just recommend Kai. Hima says, yeah, they would likely accidentally kill DKP, like they did Junior, and therefore lose the Dragon Balls. Midnight says, some of that so-called filler is worth it. Well, it's not so-called filler. It is filler. Definitionally, it is filler. But if in a world where there is so much good media to watch, you really should be consuming that media in a way that respects your time. And there are two animes that I know for a fact do not respect your time, and that is original Dragon Ball Z and One Piece. Holy fuck, One Piece. Dorito, no, we don't have superheroes. This abomination, this thing is not a superhero, Dorito. Is not. Aaron says, how many Gokus does it take to replace a light bulb? Not one fucking one of them knows how. Midnight says, Goku being shown to having a reason why he gambled with Gohan is worth the filler. I disagree. I think that you can get that context elsewhere. You can get that context very easily without having to subject yourself to a show that is double and sometimes triple the original length. I've seen clips of One Piece on Twitter, and I'm always flabbergasted and cannot believe that it's real. Said, why is there a 45 there? Because remember, Donald Trump was president 45, and then he became 45. He became 47. Is it super fascist? It's really underappreciated how much Goku believed in other. Said One Piece is goated, I'll die on this hill. I'm willing to agree with you, but the anime isn't. The anime is great when it is actually respecting the watcher's time, but it doesn't 99% of the time. As evidenced by the fact that I am in Dressrosa right now. If you've seen One Piece, you know exactly what that means. Fuck me and the horse I rode in on, I guess. He's ranked 46th and 47th worst president based on his approval rate. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. So he says, me who's been binging YouTube for the past 7 years. So Trump also claimed to have really been the 46th president too. Man, again, we have this president, this guy right here, We had this guy right here that wants to tell you that your enemy is all the brown people and not, you know, him. Just please consider that when you decide, for some reason, not to go out and use your time to vote. As the barest of barest, barely bare smallest fucking minimums you could do during the general election. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.